What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Now, I do apologize. It has been about 2 weeks since I have uploaded. However, I've been super busy in my business lately. I have hired my first employee and we have onboarded a bunch of new clients. So things on the business front are going really well. However, what I did want to update you on is some kind of breaking news here in New Zealand and across the fitness industry, and something I've been following closely because I'm interested in this topic. And it's creatine gummies. Now, James Smith, the popular sort of business mentor, fitness influencer, did a video on creatine gummies about a week or so ago. And in that video, he tested a bunch of different brands. Now, those brands were claiming to have 5 milligrams of creatine in them. Now, 5 milligrams of creatine, most people would know that that is a recommended daily dose that you need of creatine. And these brands were claiming that if you eat 3 or 4 of their gummies, you will get 5 milligrams of creatine. One of the brands is a brand called Push. Push Gummies originated in New Zealand in 2023 and have kind of taken over social media. They're all over the fitness space in New Zealand, Australia. They're also branching into the UK and America. They spend thousands of dollars on marketing. If you've ever interacted with one of their ads, you would get retargeted the hell out of. Very popular, very cool brand, great founder story. Lots of people were testing this product and eating this product. That probably generated millions of dollars in revenue. James Smith, however, was very skeptical that the content of creatine these guys were claiming was potentially not true. So he got a bunch of these creatine brands, 5 or 6 of them, and sent them all the way for testing. The testing was done at Eurofins, which is like the gold standard for testing this product. The test results showed in his previous video, not the one we're going to watch and react to now, that the creatine level was completely incorrect and severely underdoses, like 0.1 gram of creatine per gummy. So just absolutely off the charts in terms of not getting what you need to. Basically nothing. Push Gummies, who again are one of the popular brands, came back to James and said, well, we get it, but the Eurofins test that you did is actually not quite the right test. And in this video, James explains, and how he's put here checkmate, why that might not be the case. So let's have a watch.
In my last video, I said I needed 66 days to get legal advice, and for some of you might have realized
he was very concerned about legal.
I lied. Not only was I getting legal advice, I was doing something else. And I decided not to put this in the first video in case legal came for me pretty hard. I've not had any public statement. I've not been contacted by any lawyers. Since my last video, Push are deleting a lot of comments and attempting to hide it all. So it's time
They're
to
still deleting comments as well.
So let's reveal the biggest bombshell in this scandal. While I was in fact seeking legal advice for this video, I thought to really cover my tracks, I wouldn't just send the gummies off to get tested. I would send them off to China to get tested. Not just from Eurofins, but from the exact same Eurofins that Push Gummies allegedly get their gummies tested.
So Push Gummies actually posted tests for a number of months on their website. When they first came out and first hit the market, they would post the results of their tests and say, hey, we have tested our gummies at Eurofins, and this is a Eurofins test which shows we have 5 milligrams of creatine per 3 gummies. That was their claim anyway, and they had the proof to back it up. So for a long time, everyone was like, well, yeah, they have the test results, they have the product, it's obviously right. So we thought.
So in my eyes, if we sent it to their lab using their tests they claim work, and if I was to get it signed off.
This bit is wild. So I don't know how he got the exact same person to sign off the test result, but he did. I don't know if he requested it or if this is just the guy in the lab, but he managed to find the exact same lab and the exact same tester to test the gummies. And this was what Push built their whole business on, were these test results from this guy. Without this paperwork, they wouldn't have a business. So they can't come back and say that this test is wrong, because the whole thing would collapse like a house of cards.
By the very same person that signed off their testing, surely they would now come back containing creatine, right? Strawberry flavor, creatine, not detected. Apple flavor, creatine.
Literally not even traces of creatine just not detected at all.
Not detected. And look who we have down here, Mr. Ryan Luo. So I think at this point, we cannot blame the testing method. I know what you're thinking. Maybe it was a bad batch. Well, let's bring into question one of the batches, PGL3612, which, as you can see in this short video here, is the batch that we sent off to China to get tested. Now, if I bring up the PGL3612 document
from
their
their website,
which is redacted, you will see that the results come in.
They've unredacted all of that stuff on their website now.
The batch you sent to your factory comes back redacted with creatine, and the exact same batch that I send to the same factory, to the same person, came back with no creatine detected. You'll even notice where we sent the gummies, we sent a sealed bag, so we couldn't have interfered with the batch. Now, interestingly on this one, consignation testing, which is interesting. Surely if you were sending your own batch to China, it would have gone in a sealed bag like the ones we did.
Yeah,
hopefully by
strange.
this point, I think you are starting to connect the dots. We now know there's no creatine in these gummies from their own labs. Now, this leaves a lot of questions to be asked. They now cannot dispute the results. And I don't even think their legal team would probably pursue this any further. They'd probably say, oh, we're out. But it doesn't end here. We decided to get in touch with Push via Instagram. And just in case someone thought that maybe this was made in Photoshop, we'll do it through the video. So we asked, just reading your transparency post, who does your testing? Is it you, or does your factory supplier provide them with every batch?
So the transparency post was something that they put up on Instagram, basically saying, hey, I know you love Push Gummies. This is us being transparent. This is exactly how we do our testing. And they basically said we use a third party, Eurofins. They did a testing at the gold standard, and then they would post links to their results.
From them. It says here that Push say, we take our testing very seriously and have been transparent about the testing. We put our gummies through to prove their creatine content.
They have. Like this is very transparent.
Based result. So we ask the very important question, who does your testing? Is it you guys, scenario A, or does the factory or supplier provide you with every batch that you buy from them, which would be B? Just to make this real clear. They said, yeah, Eurofins does the testing and we deal directly with Eurofins ourselves.
You see that bit? So we deal directly with Eurofins ourselves. Okay. And he picked up on that and wanted to push again, which I credit James for doing this investigation. Look what the answer was when he pushed a little bit harder.
So just to double check, you send the product yourselves to Eurofins from New Zealand. And here it is. We have an agent who sends the gummies to Eurofins, and we deal directly with them. We pay them direct, we work with them on the testing, and we are sent the results directly. This is separate from our manufacturer.
So they don't deal with Eurofins directly, which they just lied about in the previous message, but anyway.
So we asked the simple question, why would you not send your own product yourself to Eurofins? It's super easy to do. Done it countless times now. And we asked the question, how do you know you aren't receiving incorrect information like the ones where the QR codes are redacted? Do you have them? Who redacted them? You or the agent or the person at the factory? They come back with a bit of a deflection. We aim to deliver as quickly as possible post-production to it, blah, blah, blah. So we just double check. Your Eurofins agent is based in China. And we're kind of confused here. Why go to the trouble to send them to Eurofins in China, who takes 66 days to get back to you, when you could get the packs and send them to a local lab? They've got to go to China. They've got to clear customs. Got to wait an extra few weeks to see if a product is legit. So we double checked. The agent you used is based in China. Yes, they are. If you send it to Eurofins in New Zealand, they will ship it to the same lab internationally that our agent ships it to. They would not do this sort of testing within New Zealand, Australia, or even likely the UK. So we asked the question, did your factory supplier introduce you to the agent? And from there, the DMs start to go cold. So they don't do their own testing. Apparently it's an agent and they don't even know where the testing happens.
So basically their manufacturer had recommended that they use an agent and told them to use this agent who potentially is colluding with the manufacturer. And they used that agent that the manufacturer recommended to go to the factory, grab the gummies, get them to Eurofins, and for Eurofins to do the test. The test came back with positive amounts of creatine, 5 milligrams per 3 gummies. Then that agent, recommended by the manufacturer, gave those tests to Push. Push looked at it and was like, oh, yeah, they've tested our product. That's the right flavor. Order product.
Even though it's there on their own documents. And as they aren't doing their own testing, they can't actually authenticate the documents. And it's starting to sound a lot like Overload here, which is crazy because after that,
Overload was another brand that he was about to get involved with, but he decided to test the product first and found out, again, no
provider.
creatine.
So
They
some
went
questions
under
I
and
have here
they've
for you would be,
rebranded now.
why are some of these tests redacted and the new ones aren't? It's just crazy to think that Push aren't doing their own testing, as we can see from their messages. And I've always had this suspicion as soon as I saw that the documents were Chinese. Is it negligence, or did they just not want to know? Or as it looks, they're probably buying these gummies from a manufacturer in China that are giving them these documents. And if Push themselves aren't doing this testing, what local Chinese supplier is providing this to Eurofins? Because it's not their product.
Of course, if you're asking a manufacturer and the manufacturer's giving you an agent, that agent's not going to say, oh yeah, it doesn't have creatine in it, because he's working for the factory. And the factory knows that this agent is going to give you a positive test result because there's an incentive to do so the factory can sell gummies, right? If that agent's on commission and is simply just lying to them, there's a huge problem here.
They're providing something else. So do we think Push are ripping people off for thousands or potentially even millions of dollars? In my honest personal opinion, I don't think that's the case. I think they've been fucked up good and proper here by a Chinese supplier, very similar to Overload. But there is no excuses for not doing your own testing, especially with the amount of sales that you're making. When even some of your one-star reviews on Amazon, people clearly say they've taken creatine gummies before and these ones have no creatine in because they taste too good, or people aren't getting.
They do taste good. I've eaten a bag. They taste great.
I'm thinking as well, why would the Chinese manufacturers not put creatine in the gummy when it's so cheap and easily readily available? Well, in my honest personal opinion, I think it's this. You want the experience of someone eating the gummy to be as good as possible. You actually want them to say, wow, I couldn't even tell there was creatine in there.
What happened after he dropped this video is people flooded to Push's Instagram and were demanding a refund. Everybody went crazy. Push had to halt sales. They put on their website that all the product was out of stock, and they went kind of quiet for a good sort of 48 hours. They have now come out with a statement. Let's go through it. So in this statement, they say, we've been made aware of claims circulating online about the creatine levels in our Push gummies. We are taking these allegations incredibly seriously and are investigating them as a priority. We want to apologize to our loyal customers and members of our community. We pride ourselves on this product and we put our heart and soul into its development since we launched in 2023. The testing regime that we've applied to this product has always been well above what is required or expected because the quality of our product is paramount. Initial testing was conducted with Eurofins in June 24 and again in August 24. In February 25, we significantly increased our testing protocols by initiating ongoing third-party testing through Eurofins at every single batch before our product reaches the market. All verified results to date have confirmed that each Push gummy meets or exceeds our stated label claim of 1,670 milligrams of creatine monohydrate per gummy. We want to ensure our community that we've paused sales effective immediately. We're investigating thoroughly our testing lab and manufacturer. And this is the key point here. We've sent final product samples from New Zealand for independent testing. We're fully committed to responding to this issue and will share further updates as soon as our investigation progresses. Rest assured, there will be more to come from us soon. The interesting part in that statement is the part where they say final product testing. Now, it is clear that they didn't do final product testing. They did testing, but they did it maybe just off the line, or maybe just a random batch that the factory had sent. And here, these are all their test results. So you can see here, these are the batch numbers and these are the dates. This was 15th of June 20. Oh no, that's the expiry date. Sorry. So they're the batch numbers, Eurofins, Hasda. So all of these test results, if we go back to the latest one, which was April expiry. So this is their test here. Aluminium foil bag. creatine strawberry flavor, sample described as creatine strawberry flavor. The client sample come in an aluminium foil bag. This was the date they received it. And again, showed that yes, it has 1.8 grams of creatine. They also have a QR code, so you can just view this report online. We'll just go to another one here. This was, and that's the HASTA one, which is just health and safety. Go to one of the first ones that they did. Sealed aluminium foil bag, again, consignment testing. Now, this here was what James was talking about, how the QR codes are redacted for some reason. Like, why is that redacted? Why is this manufacturer redacted? I guess they've just taken the manufacturer off there. Maybe they didn't want people to see it. But this QR code hidden, again, it had the label there. But these tests were not done by Push themselves. They were done by an agent and a manufacturer. And a manufacturer, of course, is going to tell you that your product has creatine in because he wants to sell gummies. And if you're using an agent who was recommended by the manufacturer, he's also invested in the product, so he was going to tell you that it has creatine in it. So obviously they have now sent the product from New Zealand for testing. But what's going to happen here? Because when the product comes back and it shows that it doesn't have creatine in, they're going to be in a very difficult situation where they have to tell us, hey, sorry about the hundreds of thousands of dollars that you guys have spent with us, potentially millions of dollars in total. Yeah, you guys were right. Our product actually didn't have creatine in. They could maybe try and sue the manufacturer. I don't know how that's going to work in China. It'll probably be very difficult. But yeah, very tough spot to be in if you are Push Gummies. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comments. Stick with powder, guys. Tried and tested. All right, peace.